Hi, this is Stacey from The Advisor, and today I'm very excited because we have Jimmy T today, and he is the founder of Little Iguanas. It is a children's foundation, and they keep children safe. Today, he has a great topic he's going to talk about, and he's talking about being proactive when it comes to parenting, how we could help our children be safe, and he's going to give us some great tips because you want to be proactive because you don't want to wait until it's too late. So he's going to tell us all about the tips and the different things that he has learned over the course of the years that he does with his foundation that's worked really well to help children be safe and live a happy and healthy, productive life. Before we go, I just want to do a quick shout out to our Happy Expo Wellness. They're going to do a wellness expo, and it's called the Happy Wellness Expo, and it's going to be in Livingston, New Jersey. They're going to have over 100 exhibitors, and it's all about health products. Coaches will be there, doctors will be there. They'll have different technologies. You might even get a free massage. So check it out. They'll have some information in the description with a phone number, and you can give the person in charge a call, or you can go right to their website. Their website will be listed. So check it out. So, Jimmy, I'm so excited to have you on the show. I love having you on the show. You give such great advice on parenting and how to keep children safe. Now, you wanted to discuss about proactive and being reactive and explain to the audience the difference between the two and explain why one is really more important and the different things that you had talked to me about previously.
Well, for so many years now, will be 30 years this August, and we've found out that, as everybody, and doctors and educators and parents, that proactive programs not only save the world money, but they save lives. And here's why. I mean, proactive is everything prior to, the cause or what happens or the accident. You teach your children at a very young age in a fun way that they can remember things, everything about, who strangers are, or buckling up, or crossing the street, or being, aware of your surroundings, and all the proactive things. The reactive are, the drug, addiction programs that are now in teenager or whatever, or the child who is in a coma from not following certain rules, or the reactive is a child who's been hurt or taken, or even worse, we don't know where they're at. And we as all adults, we've seen that. You
Yeah.
can't just say, oh my, that's so shocking, and bury your head into the sand. You can't do that. You really need to go the proactive prevention way. And this is some of the things that Little Iguana does. When we teach children, our focus is 2 to 8. And why is our focus always 2 to 8? Because, or 2 to 10, really. Because at a certain age, your moral and your human being and your foundation for life is set, usually around age 5, 6, 7 years old. Okay. So we need to teach them in a way that they can understand, but things that don't scare them, but things that actually can help them, such as, parents tell their kids, look both ways before you cross the street.
Right.
Has anybody ever stopped for a few minutes and taken their child to the street or show them the crosswalk and stay there and say, okay, look left, look right, look left, make sure no cars or bikes are coming, and now we can cross the street. And then you show them how to come back. Simple, right?
Right.
Like nothing. But more children die and are injured every year from being hit by cars. I mean, so many children are, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then you listen to people say, well, I told them a million times.
Yeah.
Well, did you show them a million times? Because we're all learned. We're all see, we touch, we feel, we learn that way. We
Right.
don't really learn by someone just speaking at us. Or
Yes.
things like when they say don't go with a stranger. There's a bazillion people in the world that use the word strangers. So we use the word stranger only to identify what mom or dad or whoever it was in charge of you was explaining to you when they said, don't talk to strangers. Because that right there, what does that teach a child?
Right.
Really nothing. Okay. Yeah, you said it, but you didn't actually teach them. So
Yep.
what you should do is you say, all right, sit down, we're going to talk about this in a fun way, use some music, use maybe the Little Iguana music, use other program music, but usually we urge people to use Little Iguana because it's tested and proven that little children can listen to it and absorb it. So you sit them down and say, a lot of people say, and mommy said or daddy said, don't talk to strangers. What we really meant to say is this: if someone wants you to go with them or do something with them, and you didn't come to mommy and get permission right then and there, or daddy, or if you're at school, your teachers or grandma, if you
Mhm.
didn't get permission right then and there, that's what we mean by a stranger.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that there's somebody we don't know. It could be somebody we do know.
Right.
All we're saying is, if you don't have simple permission, and permission is very easy for a child if you teach it this way.
Yes.
Again, proactive. You tell a child, if you want to go with someone or do something with someone, what I need you to do is come to me and look me in the eyeballs and then ask if you could go with that person, or if you want to go somewhere or do something. And then if I say yes, then you have my permission to go. And that person is no longer considered a stranger.
Right.
And it could be someone we know, even. It could be the next door neighbor. It could be the postman. It could be Uncle Bobby. It could be anyone in the world.
Yes.
What we try to do is make it very, very simple for a 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old.
Yes.
Okay. We make it so it's eyeballs, ask yes. Okay. I got eyeballs, ask yes. They're not a stranger. I can go with them. Even though 80% or whatever study you want to show, people that know, it's usually abduction or somebody that that is in their life. And we get that. That's why permission is taught this way.
Right.
Anybody makes it simple. Doesn't mean that they're bad people.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that they're good people. It just means that they're strangers. That's how we consider them until we get permission.
Right.
Or even in a car, I
Yes.
mean, a simple thing in a car, right?
Right.
Buckling up, right? Okay, so make a joke out of it, make it fun. Hey everybody, you've gone too quick if you didn't hear the click. Oh, and the kids will jingle with it and they'll sing that. But when they get in their car, repetition, the Pavlov's theory, you ring the bell, the dog salivates kind of world. If you do it enough and you do it all the time, then you just do it by natural instinct. You get in your
Right.
car, you put it in the belt, everybody's clicked. Now I can go. But you also want to teach them proactively not to distract the driver, because if you don't distract the driver and mommy's got to or daddy's got to turn around and say something to you like, hey, can you stop? You could hit somebody, you can hurt somebody, you could get in an accident and hurt your family.
Right.
So that's the proactive. You teach them in a way that they understand, in a fun way too, because you don't want to be mean and you don't want to be over shouting and upset with them. You want to make it fun so that they understand that it's fun, but
Yes.
it can save them. Because the reactive is, as we all know, the child who doesn't look both ways before he crosses the street, and runs
Yeah.
out, chases a ball, chases his friends, runs after someone, just in the moment, in the heat of the moment, because they've never gone through those exercises of stopping,
Yes.
looking left, looking right, looking left. They've never gone through that. So they don't understand how to do that. And
Right.
what happens? You get hit by a car, you get run over, you get injured or worse, right?
Yeah.
And all it had to do was be proactive. All
Right.
it had to do was take that 5 minutes couple times during the lifetime and say, hey, we need to do this. That person over there, wants to say hi to you. So we're going to get permission and we're going to go say hi to them, because we don't want to make antisocial people. We already have that with our children.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
children are so stressed as it is. It's so hard to be a young kid these days.
Yeah.
Me and you and people around my age or little younger than me, when we were kids, we got out of the house and we went away and we were playing all day, and we came back when the street lights went on,
Right.
or the fire whistle went off in our town.
Yeah.
And we had to be home by then. Okay, so we got home by then. Nowadays, it is so how many kids get to go out all day? How many children is it safe to let them, out,
Yeah.
So we just want them to be prepared. We don't want them to be scared. We just
Right.
want them to be prepared. We want to relieve we want to relieve the stress on them.
Right.
Okay. So the reactive is even in attitude, even in self-esteem, self-worth, like we teach. You want to teach it at a very young age. A 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old. You want to build them up. You
Right.
don't want to make them spoiled brats. You want to
Exactly.
build them up with self-esteem and self-worth. And self-esteem and self-worth is this. Stacy says to Jimmy T, hey, Jimmy T, let's go behind over here and let's go do drugs, or let's go do this, or let's go hurt that person, or let's
Right.
go steal that from that person, or do something. And because I've already had that proactive program in me where I'm taught that I don't do that because I have self worth, self esteem, I don't cave into that. So I
Right.
say, well, you know what? I don't think so. And then they say to you, whoa, what are you, a baby? And you say to them, because I have such self worth, self esteem,
Yeah.
I really don't need to hang with this person because they're just going to bring me down. And if you did do that, usually down the road you're ending up doing drugs, you're in
Mhm.
jail, you're hurting people. I mean,
Exactly.
we see in society today, you see people kicking people that are down on the street, beating them. That is
Yes.
totally unacceptable.
Totally.
I don't care what you are, who you are, anything. That is unacceptable behavior
Oh,
as
for
a
sure.
human being. You never hurt another human being.
Right.
You can stop them from hurting you if that's what you have to do, but you don't go out there and hurt other people. And
Right.
those are people where we didn't instill self worth, self esteem. So
Yes.
they have none of that within themselves. Okay.
Yes.
So they're just so angry with who they are because they've never had that in life that now they're striking out no matter what because it makes them feel better to make you call you a name
Yes.
or do things. Whereas in the old days, you would dream about helping another human being. You wanted to be the hero.
Yeah.
Remember the days when people wanted to be Superman or Batman
Yeah.
or Roy Rogers or whoever it was in the world, right? I
Yes.
mean, you dreamt about being somebody that went to the moon and nowadays kids don't even have the dreams. We don't instill the self-worth, the self-esteem into them to have those dreams.
Exactly.
We put them down, we put them in society, and we make you, like I was saying before, we don't talk about everything is monetary. Everything became monetary for some reason. Okay. And I get
Right.
it. Businesses are businesses. Even us, we need to make money and to do things and to sell a book or to do the things. But we just put so much pressure on our children to, you got to buy a gift for Johnny's birthday. Well, when they don't have money, they feel like garbage because they
Right.
can't go to a birthday party because they don't have that. You know, we need to start teaching self-esteem and self-worth is inviting your friends over and not expecting gifts from them.
Right.
Expect their friendship.
Hmm.
Expect them to help you or to have a kind word for you when you're down. And you do the same to them.
Right.
Teach them that self worth and self esteem so that when they see somebody down on their luck or somebody sad or somebody crying or
Right.
or even sitting alone at a table at lunch and
Yeah.
everyone else picked on those poor kids, but because your kid had such self-worth and self-esteem, they got off their butts, they went over and they sat next to that child and they made their day. They
Right.
took it upon themselves to be that hero.
Right.
Okay. We don't have that anymore. I remember when I was a little kid, I'd sit with headphones, and this is how old I am. Sit with big headphones listening to a record.
Hmm.
Oh, what's that? And listening to a record, music, and dreaming about being the hero of something or
Yeah.
helping someone. I mean, we used to draw things as kids in school, and kids would draw saving someone in from a fire, a burning building. I remember one boy in my class, he drew him on a ladder and he was saving someone from the burning building.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, where did that go? Why did we allow it to go away? So for us, proactive programs always just the way to go.
Yes.
Just, just the way to bring to light um, safety and the well-being process, so that we're not bailing kids out of jail for things or drugs or hurting other people or whatever it may be. And
Yes.
that's all.
I think it's so important to take a proactive, because I think a lot of people don't realize that, and they have children and they demonstrate, certain behaviors in the house, and they're not thinking about really, I see a lack of discipline a lot of times and a lack of in a lot of families, and I feel like you really need to install these things from the moment they're a baby, because if you're proactive and you start teaching them how to be safe, this is the way you need to do things. Always say thank you. Be polite, do this, do this. It will resonate and it will become a behavior as they grow up and become a young adult and into their elderly years. It'll stay right through.
Absolutely will. I mean, for people that learn things at a young age, we all remember stuff we learned. So why could it not be good stuff that we learned?
Right.
And not, see things, parents always, I talk to millions of parents, in my lifetime from for little iguana. And I hear the things like I've told them a million times, but they don't show them. Or you're at an event and you're looking around and you say to yourself, my goodness, kids are running crazy, or a little 2-year old sitting on the ground screaming and yelling, and
Yeah.
the first instinct was the parent handing them their cell phone or an iPad
Yeah.
or something. That's not proactive, because now at 10 years old they're going to sit down and cry, but it's going to be worse and bigger, and when it's 15 they're bigger, and when they're 20, you can't give into it. It takes a million times to say no. Explain why. Just don't say no because I said so,
Yeah.
because that doesn't work either, because we want our children to be so darn smart, right? Everybody
Yeah.
wants their kids to be rocket scientists by second grade, for goodness sakes. But then we teach them, then we treat them like children, babies, when they already now know more by fourth grade than me and I
Right.
mean, I couldn't even do my kids' homework at a certain age because they were like, wow, I mean, you need a tutor, and they're still in elementary school,
Yeah.
because we never learned the stuff that they learned, and we
Right.
were pushed through class and we were pushed through school,
Right.
just pass them, pass them, pass them, and if I learned back then proactive prevention stuff, and I learned all the things that I haven't learned, I would have been so much better. Even like being a good person or being a good parent. I mean,
Yeah.
how many of us were taught how to be a good parent? That's
Right.
proactive, that's prevention. 99.9% of us had to learn it on the go.
Yeah.
Why? And that didn't work out very well for me. It didn't. But that's why Little Iguana is so focused on prevention, proactive. Share it in a way that they can absorb it. Why? Music, interactive, showing them, what's that old saying, you tell me as a child and I might remember, you show me as a child and I'll never forget.
Mhm.
I mean, that's kind of how it is. It's You
Yeah.
show them what you're trying to express, and then in any of
Yeah.
the lessons, like we have a new book coming out called The Online Secret, and it's part of the series, the Little Iguana series. And The Online Secret is all about the parents told them, Little Iguana, about not being, online, and told them about things, but never really explained it.
Yeah.
Okay. They just said, do this, do this, do this. They never explained what that meant.
Right.
Didn't explain that. You know what? You might have some pressure from somebody that says that they're an 8-year-old little boy and they want to be your friend, but really they're a 25-year-old man trying to get your information, and they make you feel bad. They make you feel like, you're a baby because you're going to tell your parents or someone in charge. Well, those are the people that you need to tell, because those are the ones that are the bad ones.
Yeah.
But we don't really show our children what that means. And we get
Mhm.
kids that meet people or tell them that they go to the school or where they're at, or different classes that they're in,
Right.
after school and stuff. And they don't understand that that is so dangerous in this world. I mean,
Yeah.
and just like I said, just proactive. Teach them what you mean. Show them. Sit down. Take the time. If it takes you a million times to do it, great. And if the kids do it, make sure you take their privileges away, because you
Right.
can't reward them for bad behavior.
Yeah.
Oh well, the kid's just driving me crazy. He's got to use his computer. No, they don't. We didn't have computers, and we
Right.
came out just fine, except for the twitching and an uncontrollable sucking of the thumb and curling my hair. I mean, besides that, I'm okay. But just you got to show them, and
Yes.
and like I said, in a way that they can always remember
100%, 100%. And I think that's really important. And I think, when you teach these children, like I said earlier, they will remember, and because if you don't, like you said, if you're retroactive and you're not teaching these children, they're going to grow up thinking that these behaviors are okay. They're going to learn behaviors that are not safe, that are not good, and they're going to repeat those behaviors, and it's not a good thing. If their parents don't teach them how to be safe, if they don't learn, through music and other ways, that in the future, it's going to affect them. It's going to affect the way they raise their children, and it's going to be a vicious cycle. Every day you see things about children who've been harmed, children who've been taken, innocent children, and then even with drugs, there were so many times that you would hear, this young man, he was a good kid, never did anything wrong, got good grades, and he got approached, and he tried something, and with the fentanyl and this and that, he died right away. That was a story in our area, and the parents were devastated, everybody was devastated, and no one ever, spoke how dangerous it was, and how dangerous drugs are, and how to say no. And I think that's a big issue too, is that parents need to teach their children how to say no, because a lot of times kids just want to be accepted and want to follow, and so all different age groups, music could actually work for all different age groups. The way you change the music, the way make it a little more hip hoppity as the kids get older, but whatever you put in the beginning, is what they're going to remember. It stays with them. It really does. I still remember my elementary years, certain years, and I still remember the things I learned in those grades.
that. Yeah. Well, absolutely. I mean, they used the things that we remember the most are the things they taught us through music.
Yeah.
It's in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, blah blah blah. You're like, okay, or I'm just DeVille sitting on Capitol Hill, or Conjunction Junction, like we said in the other podcast. I mean, you remember that from your younger days, and you will always remember that. I always tell parents, if your kids aren't listening to you, sing what you want them to know. I don't care if it's bad
Yeah.
singing. I don't care if you can't hold your tone deaf,
Right.
pitch deaf, whatever you call it. I don't care. You sing it to them, and they'll remember it. And
Right.
my kids will say to me, "Oh, remember that stupid thing you used to say to me, Dad, when we were kids, and that you sang it to us because we wouldn't listen to you." And then they sing it to me, and I'm like, "Well, I guess it worked, didn't it?" You
I
know,
guess it did.
and it does. I mean, we've done shows. This is that proactive, reactive. We did shows where we went to a school and we sang songs about seatbelts, something simple. Buckle up your seatbelt. I don't know, maybe like 11 years later, we're at an event outdoors at a giant community event, singing and dancing on stage. And here's this 16-year-old kid in the audience making fun of us. And every time we were doing buckle up your seatbelt, he would mimic us and he would yell it out loud, bad and everything. And people got all offended. People like, oh, how dare he do this? How dare, you know? But
Right.
you know what I said to everybody on stage and everybody around us? He remembered it. He remembered it. He only
Yeah.
heard it one time. He heard it at a show that we did and his
Right.
school. So I don't care. I don't care if he's mocking us and making fun of us. He
Right.
remembered it. We did our job.
You did your
And that's
job.
proactive prevention
Yeah.
because now you know he's wearing a seatbelt. If he's
Hmm.
singing a song, you know he's doing it.
Yeah.
You were saying about drugs. Yeah. How many communities? Everybody we know in this society knows someone that died from fentanyl or overdose or drugs. And like you say, the prevention part of it was they felt they went and they, oh, my friend made me do this, right? Or my friend asked me to do this, and I didn't want to look like a fool.
Right.
Teach them it's okay to look like a fool. You
Yeah.
teach them that you're alive today and not dead.
Yep.
Who looks like the fool?
Right.
You know? And just because you want to fit in, you can fit in. Fit in
Mhm.
the way you want to fit in, not the
Exactly.
way other people want you to fit in, because
Right.
you're not living your life that way. You're living someone else's life.
100%. 100%. And if you teach kids at a young age, they'll grow stronger enough and they'll stay in their brain and they will say no when that time comes. So it's like you could teach these things to the children when they're little and, teach them to be a leader, not a follower. Teach them to say no. Teach them to look both ways. Teach them to wear a seat buckle. But all these things will stay embedded in their brain and it doesn't go away. They will remember. And those ways of thinking will stay with them and they will become good people and they will become strong individuals that have resilience and they will actually be able to, when they get to the point where they become older, have the strength and have the ability to say no. And I don't care what you think. I don't want to do it. I don't, this is how I'm going to live my life, because we have so many followers. You could just look at society today. We have so many followers and not enough of good leaders. And leaders, we can mold these children when they're young. That's when you should mold them to be good leaders. And you could do it through music. Why not? That's the best time because it'll stay embedded in their brain. They'll remember it. All these little lessons they'll remember, and that will bring them to be their own person. It will make them stronger, and it will make them a leader one day and a person who could say no when the time comes, if that time ever comes.
Sure, and then they don't feel bad. They already have the strength and the self-worth to say no and feel okay about themselves. And
Exactly.
hey, I'll be the driver. I'll take everybody home. No
Yeah,
worries. I'm
exactly.
still gonna dance. I'm still gonna eat chips. I'm still gonna, do whatever it is, but I'm not going to have to do the other things, and I'm okay with that. I
Right.
feel good about myself. I feel good about everything. And you need to hang around with people that accept you for that.
Yes.
Don't let them put you down. Don't let them push you into something that you're not, or you don't want to be. And this way you feel good about yourself, because people don't realize that when they're doing things that they really don't want to do, it eats them up inside.
Yeah.
Really does. And mentally it's not a good thing that, you talk to people, why'd you do that? Ah, well, so and so, you can never let them do that. You have to be whoever you are yourself, and at it and teach them again at a young age with music, just like proactive again compared to reactive. A
Right.
little girl goes into our program, comes up on stage, does run, 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 yell and tell. 8
Mhm.
years go by, she's walking down the street, a level 3 sex offender tries to abduct her, runs into the store, yells and screams. If that proactive program that we did was not embedded in that little girl when she was 8 years old, she would not be here today. That level 3 sex offender would have gotten her, But
Right.
because the proactive program went and said, run, 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 yell and tell when someone's trying to get you, and you don't have permission, you run away, and
Yeah.
it tells them what to do. And all they
Exactly.
have to do is sing the song, and it has the steps throughout the whole song. Oh, wow, I got to do this. I got to run, run, run. I got to yell. I'm going to tell somebody. Police show up. They say, how'd you get away? That silly, stupid prevention, proactive song that happened 8 years before that saved their life.
Right.
And level 3 sex offenders aren't people taking people out for lunch or ice cream or taking them to church. It's not.
Yeah.
Okay. So without proactive prevention programs, we have a lot of situations. We have drugs. We have promiscuous worlds that we don't really want to be part of, but we're doing it because we got to fit in. You
Right.
know, we're forced, young ladies are forced to do things that they don't want to do because they didn't have that self-worth and self-esteem about themselves and tell somebody, yeah, nah, this ain't working for me.
Right.
On my time, I will decide when it's my time and who I would like to be with and do,
Yeah.
not your decision because you're putting pressure on me and
Right.
I'm not strong enough to stand up to it.
Right.
So again, that proactive, it helps across the board for everything, even just being a good human being.
Yeah.
I mean, when do we teach our children, sit them down and say, are there any children in your school that people always pick on? Or do you see, people being made fun of? Do you
Yeah.
see that in school? I mean, how many parents have ever asked that? How
Right.
many parents even ask really what goes on in their school? I mean,
Exactly.
and say, well, why don't you bring them these cookies today? Why don't
Mhm.
you go up to them and ask them if everything's okay today? Why
Right.
don't you take time to be a better person than everyone else that's picking on that poor person?
Yeah.
Because we now see it all through everywhere. Mass
Exactly.
shootings in school and all these things. But these poor kids have been so picked on and abused, and you listen to the comments of what's going
Yeah.
on around it, going, "Oh yeah, we knew it was going to be so and so that would shoot up a school if it ever happened." And we're like, "Why?" Because there was no proactive prevention. Nobody took time to help the kid get through life when
Yeah.
he was down on his luck, when he had nothing, when no one was there for him. Everybody was picking on him because he didn't have clothes that looked like your clothes. He didn't
Right.
have clothes that fit like your clothes. He
Right.
didn't have, or she didn't have these things. And these people pick on him unmercifully, and they
Yeah.
hurt themselves or hurt other people. When do we teach that? When do we tell people? When did we teach our children at a young age that you don't do that?
Exactly.
We don't.
We
When do we
don't.
teach them to reach out to everyone and help?
Yeah.
What it's just, it needs to be done in a way that it can, well, first off, it can happen immediately. Everything can happen immediately just by teaching
Exactly.
them, here it is, this is what we'd like to do, this is what we're going to try. And you have to say it over and over and over and over and over again. I mean,
Yeah.
I must have told my children a million times, no, no, you can't do that. And this is why. No, you can't do it. Did they do it sometimes? Probably, because they're kids. We're all
Yeah.
kids. Okay. We were all kids. We all lived life. We knew what we're talking about. Yeah, it sounds great as adults that we tell, oh, we shouldn't do this.
Right.
But nobody taught us back then that we shouldn't do it that way either. And
Right.
back then we didn't have that self-esteem and self-worth because that wasn't embedded in us. So a
Yeah.
lot of us went down which road? Drinking, drugs, alcohol, you know, from bed to bed trying to find that right person because whatever it was taken from you. I always say that it factor.
Yeah.
Whatever you call it is whatever I call it was taken from us in our
Yeah.
life. And now we just search endlessly. We think it's love, but it's not. You
Yeah.
know, we don't understand it because we were never proactively taught that, or hey, this is something that we need to prevent down the road. This is, we just say words
Exactly.
in our society. and we need to show and hold our children by the hand and explain to them in a kid friendly way, and not say it because I said so.
Exactly.
You know, um, that's why most of us leave our houses when we're 18 years old or even younger, because our parents always told us, don't do that, because we never had a reason why we couldn't do it. If they gave us reasons, maybe it would have been a little bit different, you
Yeah.
know? It would have been different. Well, I don't want you to do this because I love you and you could get hurt and this is my fear.
Yeah.
That would have been okay. I get it. I get it. I understand. I have your concerns.
Right.
Okay. Yes, I'm playing this sport. I like it. I understand that you want me to be safe. I get it. You know, just just telling them don't do things because
Exactly.
is doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work at all. And when you were talking about bullying, I thought about, oh my goodness, most kids, they don't even tell their parents when they're getting bullied. Most parents have no clue what is going on when when their kids are getting bullied. And, but if we're proactive and we tell our kids, if you see someone getting picked on, you know, do this, or maybe go and tell a teacher, or do something, or whatever the case may be. There's so many kids that have taken their own life because they've been bullied or they've been cyberbullied, and they didn't want to deal with it anymore, and that has been an issue also. And these are some things that we could approach when the kids are little, through music, to teach kids, and to teach kids about bullying and why it's bad too, you know
Yep. People don't, I mean, there's a lot of people in this world, a lot of people that contemplated suicide, okay, because they were in a situation of either bullying, or they don't see the way out. They don't see life 20 years from now. They
Yeah.
only see today that it's happening so bad. And we don't take the time to sit down and explain to them, you know what, in 10 years, 20 years, you may be Elon Musk, you may be president of the United States, you may be somebody that creates the measles shot and the mumps or the smallpox,
Yeah.
or you may just be walking by somebody's house one day and there's a fire in there and you run in and you save that person. There's so much the world has to offer to us, and we
Yeah.
need to start explaining it to them in a really fun way, that they aren't going to be this way all their life.
Exactly.
Explain to them in a couple years things will change, and you'll be doing this and you'll be driving your car, and proactive, teach them how to save a little bit of money to the side, and when you're 16 you can, you might want to get a car, or 18 or whatever it is that parents will allow their children to drive and to have their own vehicle. But let them work at putting money away for that. Just don't buy them it. You know,
Right.
let them earn it. Let them know that in 10 years or 5 years I'm saving for this, and in 10 years, because then it means something to them,
Exactly. Exactly.
and they'll be careful and they'll cherish that item because it's something they work so hard to have. And proactive since you were day one, you're learning how to or even inspire them into different fields. you know
Right.
Let them proactively seek out different fields. Oh, what's a fireman do? What's a lawyer do? What's a doctor do?
Right.
What does a psychologist do? What does a veterinarian do? What's a plumber do?
Right.
Start teaching them these things, that if you become a plumber, you help people do this. You can make good money and survive and pay for your family, if that's what you decide to do,
Right.
and take the time to explain it, because then they have something to work towards. You know,
Exactly.
I mean, remember when we were kids, we'd walk around with a fireman hat on or something, and I'm
Yeah.
a fireman. I'm going to be a rocket. I'm going to be a astronaut. I'm.
Right.
I don't see that. You know what I do see a lot of? I see going into a place and I look around and I say, oh my gosh, that poor little kid over there really doesn't have a chance,
Yeah.
because you see how things are being interacted with them. And I
Yeah.
ask my adult friends all the time. I say, have you ever been to a place where you see a child and you say, oh my God, that kid doesn't have a chance? Every
Yeah.
one of my friends say yes. And
Mm-hmm.
you know what I tell them? That's not the same kid. We don't see the same child. So think of how many kids there are.
Yeah.
So again, that's really the only reason why Little Iguana is proactive, because if you teach them how to ride a bike correctly and wear a helmet, you know what? They don't fall, hit their head, and go into a coma.
Right.
You tell them look both ways before you cross the street, and what this means is left, right, left again. They don't get hit by a car and die or in a coma.
Exactly.
If we teach them about getting permission and what to do in a proactive prevention way,
Yeah.
see on the news that so and so is missing.
Right.
Okay. So that's why I just urge everybody, check us out, share some information with us. People, if they need to talk, contact us. We don't care. We'll talk to anybody, obviously, because that's just who we are. We were
Yeah.
brought up that way. So that's kind of why my whole focus has always been save the young kids, because this way they don't live a life that I lived. They don't live a life that really put me down the wrong path in life until I
Mm-hmm.
grew up.
Right.
And all those years were wasted. All those wandering years were wasted.
Right.
I could have done so much more, and so
Yeah.
many of us could have done so much more. So
100%.
that's my story, lady, and I'm sticking to it. Okay.
Now, if you had to give a couple of takeaways from what we talked about today, what would be
Yeah.
like the most important things that you'd like to emphasize to tell our listeners?
I would say that the most important thing is take time for each one of each one of your children. Focus on teaching them proactively things. Really focus on not just saying words, but actually showing them what you mean. I know people say it's common sense, a lot of the things we teach, but so many children are not here today because we thought common sense was something that they just
Yeah.
had, and we have to learn it. So take the time, teach your kids, hug your kids, kiss your kids every day before they walk out that door. Make it a pact that you always hug each other and tell them that you love them.
Yep.
And then that will make their world even better as well. And
Hun-
yours, and your own.
100%.
So
Yes. That's great advice. It's so true. So true. I love what you do. I think, you've done an amazing job putting this foundation together. Now, if people want to contact you, how could they contact you?
or they just go to littleiguanausa.org. That's LIL and then iguana, IGUANA, USA.org. Check it out. Go online, go to our social media. We ask everybody to like, share, and follow us if you can. Any information that you need from us, please check us out. And we're also looking for affiliates that would like to spread our information and potentially make some money at the same time. Saving lives, making money. What a world, huh?
I love it. I love it. Oh my
That
God.
replaces the kicking butt taking names, okay?
Yeah, there you go.
I have to be politically correct, okay? Isn't
Oh, that's
it?
funny. That's so funny. Oh my God, this has been great. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for coming on the show. I hope you know that Jimmy is in our podcast community. He is one of our podcast experts and he has his own podcast. So when you come and you look for our website, also look for Little Iguanas. They have their own podcast with all their podcasts listed below their URL. And we'll share that in the description box and give them check out all their previous ones. And this is something you really want to do. You want to be proactive because you want to take care of your children and you want to make sure they have a healthy, happy, and productive life all throughout their entire life. So check out Little Iguanas because they are an amazing program. And I love the fact that you guys use music as your main way of teaching children. I think that's so powerful. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Appreciate you very much.
Okay. I'll
Great
talk
night.
to you soon. You too. You have a great night also.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.